Since the 14th of August, sectoral indices end mixed. Pharma emerges as the top sectoral loser. After facing regulatory hurdles, Paytm finally gets an NPCI approval to onboard new UPI users. Stock reacts positively, surges almost 10% in today's session. Government working on a bailout package for MTNL plans to look at revival of the ailing teleco as it's an NDTV profit exclusive. Government rules out separate regulatory body for AI, plans to set up AI Safety Institute to put regulations in place. This is also an NDTV profit exclusive. As Maharashtra goes into election mode, we look at prominent candidates from the state who could hold sway with voters. All eyes on Kazan as the Prime Minister is set to meet Chinese Premier Xi Jinping in a much-awaited bilateral at the BRICS summit. Could this reset ties between New Delhi and Beijing? Good evening and welcome. You are watching Profit 360 on NDTV Profit and I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. We begin as always with a look at how the markets have performed today, and the Nifty and the Sensex have fallen for the third consecutive session. The Nifty recorded its lowest closing since the 14th of August, in fact, and sectorally, Pharma has emerged as the top loser. And IT, of course, is leading the most. Agam Vakil joins us with a wrap of all the action that took place today.
Well, there was some hope of recovery in the markets today, but at least as far as the benchmarks are concerned, well, they've ended the day with marginal cuts. So there hasn't been recovery there, at least. We are looking at the Nifty closing below the mark of 24,500. It was a crucial level to some extent. And as far as the Bank Nifty is concerned, again, while marginally in the red, still below the mark of 51,500. Now, in terms of the Nifty and the constituents, let's take a look at the heat map and how things have fared. So while we do have a lot of gains in names like Bajaj Finance, Tech Mahindra, Tata Consumer Products, Bajaj Auto, we also have sharper cuts in names like M&M, Sun Pharma, Eicher Motors and Shriram Finance. It's been a fairly mixed day of trade, and you shouldn't really go by the advanced decline ratio on the Nifty 50, which is about 20:30, 21 to 29 to 31 to be precise. But in the broader markets, of course, you have about 3 gainers for 2 losers. Let's take a look at the broader market indices too. How has the mid-cap index panned out? Outperformance with respect to the Nifty, up around 0.5%, as well as the small cap index, which has ended with the up move around 1% too. But even in terms of your key movers with respect to the broader markets, it's been stock specific. So let's take a look at all those which advanced substantially and also those stocks which actually saw sharper cuts. We had Deepak Fertilizers, Amber Enterprises advancing by around 11 to 14%. Coforge, Persistent Systems as well, advancing by just as much, up around 11%, with Godfrey Phillips also moving up around 9%. On the other hand, well, we have weakness in Gujarat Fluoro, which declined by nearly 7%, 6.5% cut for Rajesh Exports. Names like ABB India as well as Siemens, which were, well, testing life highs just a few days ago, are once again looking at a knock around 5 to 5.5% as well. All along, though, as far as the broader markets are concerned, there was a slight bit of recovery. But the question really is that, is this recovery sustainable? And we've seen that, at least as far as the benchmarks are concerned, well, there remain some challenges with respect to technical aspects. But for now, it's been a quiet end to this trading session. Wait and watch on tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much for joining us with those details, Agam. Now, moving on, it is coming as a big relief for Paytm. The National Payments Corporation of India has granted approval to the company to onboard new UPI users after an 8-month ban. Now, according to the letter, the company will need to adhere to all NPCI procedural guidelines and circulars issued from time to time, including guidelines and circulars issued specifically on risk management, brand guidelines for app and QR, multi-bank guidelines, and customer data. And it is a big setback for the edtech firm Byju from the Supreme Court. The top court has rejected the settlement between Byju and BCCI. And Varun Gakhar has more details and is joining us now. So Varun, give us more details on what the Supreme Court said.
So in a big setback to the embattled edtech firm Byju, the top court has set aside the NCLT order or the NCLAT order that put an end to Byju's insolvency process back in August. Now a little background to the case before we delve into the details. In August this year, the NCLAT approved Byju's settlement with the BCCI, thereby putting an end to its insolvency process. Now, according to this settlement, Byju's committed to settling its dues to the tune of nearly rupees 158 crores with the BCCI. Now, this prompted US-based lenders backed by Glass Trust LLC to move the apex court against the NCLT-approved settlement based on the allegation that the money that was being used for the said settlement was siphoned from them and that the sources for this money was questionable. In addition, it was Glass Trust's contention that Byju owes it nearly rupees 8,000 crores and that the NCLT approved the settlement based on a meager amount of rupees 158 crores and put an end to the insolvency process itself. Now, the top court then heard the matter at length for nearly 2 days and the judgment has now been delivered. In toto, the top court verdict essentially means that the insolvency process for the edtech firm will continue. And while setting aside the NCLAT verdict, the top court said that the NCLAT did not provide adequate reasoning while approving the settlement process with the BCCI and iterated that the due process of law was not followed. In addition, the court has directed that the settlement amount of rupees 158 crores needs to be returned back to the committee of creditors and this money has to be retained in an escrow account. Now, the case has also been sent back to the National Company Law Tribunal for a fresh adjudication on the issue of whether the settlement was lawful or not.
All right, Varun, thank you for joining us with those details. Moving on, all eyes are on Kazan. The Prime Minister is set to meet the Chinese Premier Xi Jinping in a much-awaited bilateral at the BRICS summit. This could signal a reset in ties between the two countries. This comes amid the ongoing 16th BRICS summit in Russia. Now, NDTV's Kadambini Sharma is joining us with more on what's expected.
Well, first of all, let me tell you that within few minutes now, there will be family photo of BRICS leaders, and this is the day of the summit. So there will be family photo, and after that, there would be a closed plenary and an open plenary where the leaders will give their statement. Now, the bilateral about which we are talking can happen only after that. So we are expecting it to happen sometime in the late afternoon. Now, what has happened here is that we saw how the announcement was made about petroleum agreement which has happened between India and China, and the expectations were that now that it has been announced just before the BRICS summit and PM traveling for BRICS summit, that there will be a bilateral, and it was announced that way. It was confirmed by Foreign Secretary only last evening. So what exactly has happened, that too is very important to understand. What has happened is that all after this discussion, intense discussion, there is now the understanding is that the patrolling and grazing rights would be what those were in 2020. However, the agreements which have been reached in before this final agreement, this patrolling agreement, were not open. That also has been clarified. So this now this is something which is actually in the pending.
सैंक्शन किए गए हैं। एनडीबी को डिमांड ड्रिवन सिद्धांत पर काम करते रहना चाहिए और बैंक का विस्तार करते हुए लॉन्ग टर्म फाइनेंशियल सस्टेनेबिलिटी, हेल्दी क्रेडिट रेटिंग और मार्केट एक्सेस सुनिश्चित करने पर प्राथमिकता रहनी चाहिए। फ्रेंड्स, नए स्वरूप में ब्रिक्स $30 ट्रिलियन से भी ज्यादा बड़ी इकोनॉमी है। हमारे आर्थिक सहयोग को बढ़ाने में ब्रिक्स बिजनेस काउंसिल और ब्रिक्स विमेन बिजनेस अलायंस की विशेष भूमिका रही है। इस वर्ष ब्रिक्स के अंदर WTO रिफॉर्म्स, ट्रेड फैसिलिटेशन इन एग्रीकल्चर, रेजिलियंट सप्लाई चेन्स, ई-कॉमर्स और स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन को लेकर जो सहमति बनी है, उससे हमारे आर्थिक सहयोग को बल मिलेगा। इन सब पहलों के बीच हमें स्मॉल और मीडियम स्केल इंडस्ट्री के हितों पर भी फोकस करना चाहिए। मुझे खुशी है कि 2021 में भारत की अध्यक्षता के दौरान प्रस्तावित ब्रिक्स स्टार्टअप फोरम इस वर्ष लॉन्च किया जाएगा। भारत द्वारा दिया गया रेलवे रिसर्च नेटवर्क का इनिशिएटिव भी ब्रिक्स देशों के बीच लॉजिस्टिक्स और सप्लाई चेन कनेक्टिविटी बढ़ाने में अहम भूमिका निभा रहा है। इस साल ब्रिक्स देशों में यूनिडो के साथ मिलकर इंडस्ट्री 4.0 के लिए स्किल्ड वर्कफोर्स तैयार करने पर बनी सहमति बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। 2022 में लॉन्च किया गया ब्रिक्स वैक्सीन R&D सेंटर सभी देशों की स्वास्थ्य सुरक्षा बढ़ाने में मदद कर रहा है। हमें डिजिटल हेल्थ में भारत का सफल अनुभव ब्रिक्स पार्टनर्स के साथ साझा करने में खुशी होगी। फ्रेंड्स, क्लाइमेट चेंज हमारी साझी प्राथमिकता का विषय रहा है। रूस की अध्यक्षता में ब्रिक्स ओपन कार्बन मार्केट पार्टनरशिप के लिए बनी सहमति का स्वागत करता है। भारत में भी ग्रीन ग्रोथ, क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और ग्रीन ट्रांजिशन पर विशेष रूप से बल दिया जा रहा है। इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस, कोएलिशन फॉर डिजास्टर रेजिलिएंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, मिशन लाइफ यानी लाइफस्टाइल फॉर एनवायरमेंट, एक पेड़ मां के नाम जैसे इनिशिएटिव लिए गए हैं। पिछले वर्ष COP28 के दौरान हमने ग्रीन क्रेडिट जैसे महत्वपूर्ण पहल की शुरुआत की। मैं ब्रिक्स पार्टनर्स को इन इनिशिएटिव से जुड़ने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं। ब्रिक्स के सभी देशों में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के निर्माण पर विशेष रूप से बल दिया जा रहा है। भारत में मल्टी मॉडल कनेक्टिविटी को तेजी से बढ़ाने के लिए हमने गति शक्ति पोर्टल बनाया है। इससे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विकास के लिए इंटीग्रेटेड प्लानिंग और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में मदद मिली है और लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट कम हुई है। हमारे अनुभव आप सभी के साथ साझा करने में हमें खुशी होगी। फ्रेंड्स, ब्रिक्स देशों के बीच फाइनेंशियल इंटीग्रेशन बढ़ाने के लिए प्रयासों का हम स्वागत करते हैं। लोकल करेंसीज में व्यापार और सुगम रूप से क्रॉस बॉर्डर पेमेंट से हमारा आर्थिक सहयोग सुदृढ़ होगा। भारत द्वारा बनाया गया यूनिफाइड पेमेंट्स इंटरफेस यानी UPI भारत की एक बहुत बड़ी सक्सेस स्टोरी है। इसे कई देशों में अपनाया गया है। पिछले वर्ष हिज हाइनेस शेख मोहम्मद के साथ मिलकर हमने इसे UAE में भी लॉन्च किया। अन्य ब्रिक्स देशों के साथ भी इसमें सहयोग किया जा सकता है। फ्रेंड्स, भारत ब्रिक्स के अंतर्गत सहयोग बढ़ाने के लिए पूरी तरह से प्रतिबद्ध है। हमारी विविधता और मल्टीपोलैरिटी में हमारा दृढ़ विश्वास हमारी ताकत है। हमारी यही ताकत और मानवता में साझा विश्वास हमारी भावी पीढ़ी के समृद्ध और सशक्त भविष्य को सार्थक रूप देने में सहयोग होगा। आज की बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण एवं उपयोगी चर्चाओं के लिए मैं सभी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। ब्रिक्स के अगले अध्यक्ष के रूप में मैं राष्ट्रपति लूला को हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। भारत आपकी ब्रिक्स अध्यक्षता की सफलता के लिए अपना पूरा सहयोग देगा। एक बार फिर राष्ट्रपति पुतिन और सभी लीडर्स का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Спасибо большое, уважаемый господин премьер-министр.
All right, so that was the Indian Prime Minister, Prime Minister Modi speaking at the BRICS summit. Do remember that we are all still awaiting that much talked about bilateral to take place between Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping. So there is a bit of a time for a pull aside at about 4:30. So that could be the expected time frame. The Prime Minister, of course, speaking out about how important BRICS is and the initiatives that are being taken over there. Well, moving back now, there is no word yet on whether CNG prices will be hiked after the government imposed a 20% cut on discounted gas supply or APM gas supply for city gas distribution companies last week. But imports of gas are set to increase. Vikas Srivastav caught up with the managing director of the Mahanagar Gas, who provided more details.
Right now we are getting around, there is 70% is being used in CNG, 15% in domestic and 15% in industrial and commercial. So domestic 100% allocation is coming from the domestic gas. Industrial and commercial is getting imported. And for the CNG part, it is currently, it was 70%, now it has come down to around 57%.
And going ahead, how much it's going to increase from imports? Because now government has reduced the APM allocation, so is that going to decrease? Your imports will increase indefinitely.
Imports will increase depending on the allocation which is available. So we are yet to see. The allocation may go up because the new fields are coming up. The HPHT gas is also there. And term contracts are available in industrial and commercial and also to fund for PNG and CNG segments. So we can go into the term contracts to meet the shortfall.
Well, speaking to reporters after Nestle posted its worst ever quarterly numbers in 8 years, Nestle India CEO Suresh Narayanan flagged concerns over FMCG demand in cities. Now, he also spoke about how the middle class is shrinking while premium products are doing well. Sesa Sen was at that meeting and has more details.
Right, the FMCG companies are facing an urban dilemma with the country's bustling megacities and metros emerging as the new pressure points while rural is holding steady. During a media roundtable on Tuesday, Nestle India CEO Suresh Narayanan pointed out the changing dynamics of the middle class. He highlighted a concerning trend, which is the middle class is shrinking, leading to reduced spending over the last 2 to 3 quarters. This stands in stark contrast to previous years when slow quarters typically rebounded quickly. The struggle is aggravated by skyrocketing inflation, with prices for key ingredients like cocoa and coffee surging. Coffee, for instance, is up nearly 70% and cocoa prices have climbed nearly 2.5 times in the past year alone. As a result, Nestle has had to implement price hikes ranging from 15 to 30%, and the company forecast similar increases this year in these categories as well. The CEO also highlighted intensified regional competition, especially in the noodles and chocolate segments, while well-known brands such as Maggi and Kit Kat have successfully navigated these challenges by strategizing around premium offerings. Munch is facing a downturn in demand. Nestle reported a decline in its volume growth for the September quarter, but Narayanan is optimistic. He aims to regain the impressive 6 to 7% volume growth the company experienced from 2016 to 2022. However, he cautioned that inflationary pressures pose a significant barrier, stating that the recovery pace will depend on stabilizing inflation rates. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much for that one. Now, moving on to another NDTV profit exclusive, the government is now believed to be mulling the revival of Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited, or MTNL. Now, bankruptcy and merger plans have been shelved and ruled out for the moment. And Shrimi is joining us with more details on this. Shrimi, we are given to understand that the government could be looking at an MTNL revival now.
What we have given to understand from government sources is that approach is to revive the MTNL and not going for bankruptcy route or even merging the entity. In fact, the government is looking at the financial crisis at MTNL in two parts. One is, of course, the short term and the immediate concern of repaying the loans. The total exposure is, as you know, is about 8,000 crores. So the banks and MTNL are in talks to sort of have a restructuring plan, and the condition is is being worked out to have a bailout plan there. And the second issue is long-term debt, which MTNL has taken. Again, the debt obligation is about 28,000 crore, and for that, government is planning to sort of monetize the huge land assets of MTNL, and they are in talks with MTNL and ask them to give a detailed plan and the issues with each land which they are having, because all the land assets could not be monetized given the challenges of state regulations and public usage, etc. So the actual realization could be much lower than the estimated value of these lands, is what we are getting sense from the government. And besides, they also asked MTNL to cut the operational cost and in fact use the resources of BSNL, and the spectrum which has been allocated to BSNL can be also used by the MTNL.
All right, on to another NDTV Profit exclusive. The government is not considering setting up a separate body for the regulation of AI. This is according to officials at the Ministry of Electronics and IT. Rishabh has more on this and joins us now. So, Rishabh, the government essentially saying that there isn't going to be a separate regulation for AI, regulatory body rather for AI.
We have some news coming in from the Ministry of Electronics and IT that the government has ruled out that there will be a separate body that will be regulating artificial intelligence in the country. Instead, what is being proposed is an Artificial Intelligence Safety Institute, as well as the current practice that is to send voluntary guidelines to companies in the space on how to watermark and how to deal with deepfakes and other those issues. The government remains very, very cognizant of the risks that come along with artificial intelligence, and they've said that they will continue to engage with various stakeholders. We're seeing a bunch of new stakeholders that have emerged over the past couple of years. So no new framework on artificial intelligence currently.
Well, thank you for that, Rishabh. Now, the NCP, led by Ajit Pawar, has announced its list of 38 candidates for the Maharashtra elections. Pawar will contest from Baramati, a crucial seat for the party. NDTV's Jitendra Dikshit joins us with more. We will play out that later, but let's quickly go across to what's happening in Wayanad. Now, in a symbolic moment for the Congress party, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has officially filed her nomination for the Wayanad bypoll today. For the Wayanad bypoll today, now do remember that we had heard about Priyanka Gandhi deciding to contest from this place. Now, Rahul Gandhi, of course, who has represented Wayanad from 2019 to 24, had to vacate the seat after retaining Rai Bareli in the last general elections leading to this bypoll. He urged voters to back his sister, saying, "What Wayanad has done for me is beyond words. Deep feelings are best shown through action." All right, now moving back to the other story that we are tracking is the Maharashtra elections. Now, the NCP, of course, led by Ajit Pawar, has announced a list of 38 candidates. And at this point, of course, we are told that Pawar will be contesting from Baramati, which is a stronghold for the NCP and a very crucial seat for them. NDTV's Jitendra Dikshit has more on this and now joins me live. Hi, Jitendra. Jitendra, give us a sense of what the NCP has decided in terms of the candidates is going to file, and also tell us a bit more about the big names that we are seeing and who's been given what seat.
Hi Nupur, see almost both the alliances Mahayuti and Mahavikas Aghadi have finalized their seat sharing formula, and many parties of which are constituents of both these coalitions, they have come up with the list of their candidates. So the recent list which has come up is of Ajit Pawar's NCP, in which it has been revealed that Ajit Pawar is going to contest from Baramati Vidhan Sabha seat. Till a few days back, there were speculations going on that Ajit Pawar might be contesting from some other seat like Shirur or some other seat, or he might not contest at all. But now this has been made clear that Ajit Pawar is going to contest from Baramati seat. Another big name in his list is of Chhagan Bhujbal, who will be contesting again from the Yola seat in the Nasik district. Bhujbal has been contesting from this seat since 2004, and once again he has been given candidacy from this particular seat. Apart from these two names, if we talk about other parties whose list have come, so we can say that Devendra Fadnavis, who has been contesting from Nagpur Northwest seat since 2009, has once again got ticket from the same seat, and that will be a major contest for him in the state. Apart from Devendra Fadnavis, one interesting name is of Amit Thackeray, who is going to do his electoral debut from the Mahim Legislative Assembly seat. This is a seat which is considered as a bastion of Shiv Sena, and he will be entering the contest where the fight will be between Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena's candidate Sada Sarvankar, who has been a 3-time MLA from this particular seat. Apart from this seat, there are other important seats where we are going to see tough fights between key candidates, like the Worli seat, where Aditya Thackeray had won the elections in 2019. It is yet to be revealed whether Aditya Thackeray is once again going to contest from the same seat, or his seat will be changed. This time, MNS has given a candidate from Worli seat. Last time, in 2019, when Aditya Thackeray visited Raj Thackeray to seek his blessings, Raj Thackeray had decided not.
All right, so that's what we are hearing in terms of the key candidates for the Maharashtra elections. Well, that's all we have time for right now in this edition of Profit 360. Thank you for joining us.